All right, transition now. 32 minutes into our show, but it was that shock of a trade. We had to touch on all of it. De'Aaron Fox has been traded to the San Antonio Spurs. The deal from Shams Charania, it broke last night. The Spurs get Jordan McLaughlin. No offense, but that's not the big story here. De'Aaron Fox. This is a 3-team deal. The Sacramento Kings get Zach LaVine, City Cisco, 3 first-round picks, and 3 second-round picks. The Chicago Bulls, shout out to my man John Rivera, Bulls fan, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick via the Spurs. The reason it's their own pick via the Spurs is because that came from the DeMar DeRozan trade that happened not that long ago, a few years ago. So that's what the Bulls get. The Bulls get an opportunity to kind of try and retool, rebuild. I could see them trading Nikola Vucevic before it's all said and done at the trade deadline or in the offseason, try and rebuild what was once obviously a contending franchise years ago. As for Sacramento, listen, Zach LaVine has done a lot to boost his trade stock. He's been healthy. He's been balling this year, and they get 3 first-round picks out of this. And they still have Domantas Sabonis, and they have DeMar DeRozan. So, listen, they've got guys like what's my man's name? Malik Monk, who I've been a fan of for a while. They've got a host of other guys, Keegan Murray. Maybe they could turn those first-round picks into a player. So, I think this is actually a decent trade for Sacramento. It's on their front office to cash in on that. It's the Kings, so we'll see. The story, though, is San Antonio getting Fox and teaming him up with Victor Wembanyama. So, obviously, I think this is a fantastic fit. There were some, I won't go deep into the numbers, but there were some second-level stats, I think it was from Second Spectrum, that showed that Wemby and Fox, big man and point guard, in their respective roles are like 2 of the 5 or 6 most successful players, even apart from each other, in the pick and roll. Now put them together, now you got something special. And I think for the fact that you got this kid, Victor Wembanyama, who we all knew coming out of France was the greatest talent to come into the NBA draft in 20 years since LeBron back in 2003, and the fact that we're in year 2, he's averaging 24 a game, and he very well may win Defensive Player of the Year in year 2. So I just spent a half hour talking about the generational prospect Luka is. Same case can be made for Wembanyama. For De'Aaron Fox, listen, he took Sacramento to the playoffs in his 6th year in the league with Domantas Sabonis, with the cast and characters they had. They were the best offensive league. They just happened to come up short to what I believe to be one of the 10 greatest basketball players to ever live, Steph Curry, in that 50-point Game 7. But if you remember, Fox had a great series, had a great year, won Clutch Player of the Year. Kings kind of took a step back. They haven't been playing that well this year. Mike Brown got fired, which I still think was a mistake on the Kings' part. But now you put him in San Antonio, which you want to talk about the definition of stability in San Antonio. They went like 20 straight years or something crazy, making the playoffs. They had Duncan. They had Kawhi briefly as their superstar. There was the tumultuous relationship there. The Spurs kind of deteriorated. DeJounte Murray left. And then they stumble in the first pick, draft Wemby. Pop is still there. I was still recovering from the health scare he had not that long ago. So continue prayers to Greg Popovich. But he should be back sooner rather than later at full strength. But now you have De'Aaron Fox, you've got Wembanyama, and by the way, you still have some pieces that you could potentially move. I don't think Chris Paul's getting moved. Chris Paul's probably going to go into more like the 6th man or 7th guy at the bench type of role. And you still got Stephon Castle out of UConn, who I was a huge fan of out of this past NBA draft, which wasn't great on the top end, but I thought he was a guy that, given where San Antonio drafted him, could fit them quite well. So does he transition to being more like a 2-guard? Does his role or like a full-time 2-guard, does that his role kind of shift now with Fox in the mix? I don't know. But what I do know is that with Wemby at 21 years old, 22, I think he's 21 years old, at his age, De'Aaron Fox is kind of just now entering the prime stage of his career. We knew San Antonio was at some point going to get to that stage where, okay, we're starting to take them seriously as a playoff team, as a team that can win a playoff series, maybe now as a contender, because they have so much runway with as young as Wemby is. This is kind of fast-tracked that. So I'm not saying, I don't even know if San Antonio will make the playoffs this year. Right now, they're the 11 seed. They're not that far out of the play-in, but they'd have to get out of the play-in. I'm not sure they'll do that as young as they are. But in 2 years, could I see the Spurs being a legit threat to win the 2027 title, so to speak? Sure, I could. The logic is, okay, we know how good Fox is, how good he is in the pick and roll, how the one playoff series he was in before he got hurt, he was excellent. torched my Warriors multiple times. If this is the Wemby that we get now, if this is the Victor Wembanyama we see right now, the heck is he going to be in 2 years? The heck is he going to be in 10 years when he's right smack dab in the heart of his prime? So for the Spurs, they not only upgraded their roster, they not only got, one of the, 20, 25 at worst basketball players in the world on their team, but they got a guy who is a perfect fit, and that is the NBA, folks. When the Brooklyn Nets made the move it was 4 years ago now. Holy crap. 4 years ago to add James Harden to a team that had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. I said it at the time. I said, this is a terrible fit. You've got some guys that need the ball, some guys that can't play off the ball. The fit and what they gave up for him made no sense whatsoever. We've seen situations in NBA history. Heck, even briefly for a time, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade were kind of a weird fit in Miami. LeBron and Kyrie, perfect fit. LeBron and AD, perfect fit. Just because you're great doesn't mean you necessarily work together from a basketball perspective. Fox and Wemby are, it's like the hand fitting the glove perfectly. It couldn't make more sense for the Spurs to make this move. And shout out to my guy Barry Grant Jr. He called this on his show weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, if I'm trying to be exact there, that this move was going to happen. It makes a lot of sense. Fox now goes to a stable franchise. He gets to team up with Wemby. They're in similar, Fox, obviously the older player, but they're similar, sort of stages of their career. Fox is a guy whose game is not predicated off athleticism. Yes, he's quick, but he's also wicked smart, is good with the basketball, makes good decisions, a clutch shot maker when need be. You trust him with the ball in his hands, last 2 minutes of a game. You trust him to get it to Wemby if the situation calls for it. Kudos to the Spurs. And I saw this too, that Fox is going to wear number 2 with the Spurs. The last guy to wear 2 was Kawhi Leonard. And it's got my guy Preston Moore, shout out to him, who's a big Spurs fan. He retweeted something I saw today where it pointed out, hey, the last guy that wore number 2 wanted nothing to do with us. The new guy wearing number 2 is thrilled to be here. So, listen, Fox in Sacramento ran its course. I actually think the Kings got a pretty decent return in the 3-team deal. Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Pretty good move for Sacramento, given that they have DeMar and Sabonis. And the guys that they have, so solid move for Sacramento, and it's a tremendous move for the Spurs. Tremendous move. Listen, we will be talking about Western Conference Finals in the future that are featuring De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, and maybe NBA Finals. That's certainly the goal for the Spurs. So kudos to them. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.